My name is Eugene, or Gene Sampieri. My rank was Sonar Technician, SOG-2. Reported to Newport on the McGowan in mid-November of 1959. The McGowan was a Fletcher-class sub. It was heavily involved in World War II. I learned a lot from a lot of the sailors aboard who knew the history, so I learned a lot about the ship. I had to walk probably halfway down Pier 1 and cross two other ships to get to the McGowan. So of course you had to do the permission to cross on every one of them. Came aboard the McGowan, you really couldn't see it as much. The two that I had to cross were not Fletcher-class. They had a closed quarterdeck area. The Fletcher has an open quarterdeck. So I couldn't really get a good look at it until I got across to it. A dual stacker with an open quarterdeck, which was kind of interesting. It didn't seem all that big to me. It turned out one of the guys on watch, there was an officer of the watch, petty officer of the watch, and a runner. And he turned out to be a sonarman apprentice, seaman apprentice sonarman. So he took me right on down to where I was going and got me straight with the locker, and then took me back up to ship's office to get my orders in and everything. They had looked at them when I came aboard, and the officer of the deck had looked at them. And he says, okay, he says, we'll get you squared away downstairs, and then you're going up to the office. What was kind of interesting was when I went down to the quarters, how small and how everybody was so tight in, and how much locker space you had. It was even smaller than boot camp, I thought. We didn't go out the next day. I think I was aboard 2 days before we finally went out, and I started having my seasickness problems after we got out. I was quickly on they got me trained on the fathometer very, very fast. The first day that we went out, I was on a fathometer watching. I wasn't actually doing the work. 3 trips out before I was actually the fathometer operator. They gave me a tour of the sonar spaces. There's the sonar up behind COEC, or actually behind the bridge. Much smaller than, say, on the Purvis when I got there, but a very tiny place. The fathometer itself was right behind the bridge, the hatch leading into the bridge, so the officer of the deck could hear you directly. The other sonar spaces with all the equipment, the actual main equipment, which would be the transmitters and stuff, actually open to anybody walking by. They were not in a room by themselves. They were off of the mess decks. And then the rest of that was in a small compartment. Various pieces of, there's a number of pieces of equipment that are involved in the sonar. It started, once we were out, I started getting some time on the sonar stat and learning how to really operate it in real weather. Of course, I was having problems with getting seasick all the time, and of course the sailors on board knew it, and it seemed like they were always serving pork chops and hot dogs at lunchtime. Stuff that was, pork chops were always greasy, and hot dogs never looked good. So that was an introduction into real Navy life. You don't have real Navy life until you get aboard a ship.